What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for One Piece. One Piece chapter 907D. Now, a lot of people going to be disappointed by this chapter. I know it. Everyone's going to keep calling it mid-piece, pace piece, all this stuff. But here's the deal. And I've been saying it for a long time. We are not going to see any major fight, with the exception of maybe we'll see Mihawk versus Shanks in a flashback one day, maybe a couple of clashes. But even that is high expectations. Wait for OVAs, movies, prequel spin-off series. You're going to have to wait if you're expecting to see anybody outside of the Straw Hats in an actual full drawn-out fight. If you're expecting to see anything else outside of that, I think you're going to be disappointed by One Piece for the remainder of One Piece. Because it's been the same way. Everyone's hyped. Whitebeard and Roger clash. We don't see the fight. Of course we don't see the fight. Oden and Whitebeard clash. We don't see the fight. Shanks and Whitebeard clash. Big Mom and Kaido clash. Everybody clashes all the time. We always see the clash, and then we know they got into a fight. We see an epic 2-page panel, and that's the end. And here, this is what happens again. Except this time, at the very least, at least we see, I'm a little surprised. I guess it's one of those things where we've heard the whole invincible Kaido. And he's basically suicidal, and he's trying to off himself. He gets bored and stuff. He lets himself get captured. The guillotine breaks. This breaks. That breaks. But once again, if this is the case, if he is so invincible, how did Oden scar him? And in this chapter, we see this. And this leads me to believe that potentially there are a few people still in the world that can injure Kaido. Maybe it is something to do with Enma specifically, but I kind of doubt that because both swords, he used the two-sword style, and he made this cross-shaped scar on his dragon form nonetheless. So, yeah, but we'll get into that. This chapter is actually, it's pretty cool because we see a very young Jack. We see King and Queen in silhouette and stuff. We see the fight. We don't actually get a full-on amount of information, though. What was the deal that was proposed? That Oden should have known better, but, because that's the problem. A lot of people are going to be very disappointed in Oden's character as they were last chapter. In this chapter, of course, we're just continuing on. They have decided to walk forward. They're going to go to Onigashima. They are going to slice off the head of Kaido. That's Oden's like, I'm going to go take Kaido's head right now. I'm done with this shit, right? So he shows up, and it seems to be the flower capital, and he gets Yasue to guard, of course, Lady Toki and his children and such. And then, all of a sudden, he's stopped outside the flower capital, and we see Kaido in full dragon form, and Oden's like, what's the meaning of this? My whole plan was to show up and cut your drunken head off, while you slept pretty much. Not the most honorable thing to do, but basically Oden wasn't prepared for a full-scale Lord of the Rings style war. He was going to go there and 1v1 him. He was going to come in, storm him in the middle of the night or whatever, and just be like, all right, I'm here to attack you, I'm going to kill you, right? So, if he could have gotten away with slicing him off if he was his drunken ass and, slicing him in two, he probably would have done that, for the sake of his country. But, unfortunately, he saw through their plan. How did they see through the plan? Do we chalk this up to another devil fruit or something? Because it'd be very difficult. Would anybody believe that any of these samurai would betray Oden in that way to Kaido? Because he even brings up, how did you know? I wasn't planning on doing a full-scale battle. And Kaido said, basically, I might have a spy. They have this conversation right beforehand, before they do battle, and there's 1,000 pirates ready to face Oden and his half a dozen, 10 people, right? That's all he's got, because Shinobu shows up and we see all that stuff. But yeah, so it's just Odin and a handful of samurai versus, an army of the Beast Pirates. And this is so interesting because, once again, we don't get the full information. Kaido brings up that maybe there's a spy in his own castle, but who would that be? And of everyone, is it Lady Toki? See, I can't see that either. Like, that makes no sense. None of this makes a whole lot of sense, right? So I'm just trying to figure out, is there truly a spy, or is there a devil fruit and he's trying to make him doubt other people, blah, blah, blah? Is there another devil fruit user that we're not aware of? Did the hag infiltrate as one of their own once again and then come back? Because we see her again this chapter. The entire success of Kaido's takeover and Orochi's takeover of Wano can be summed up by that one old hag, by Higurashi Kurozumi. She's basically the reason that any of this managed to take place. And the fact that Kaido was not basically killed, I guess, in this battle because, of course, Odin got distracted. So, it's not really Kaido and it's not really Orochi. It's the two old members of the Kurozumi clan that actually... They're the MVPs. I mean, you don't really want to praise the bad guys, and you're kind of sitting there like, this is cheap, this isn't fair. Life ain't fair, of course, but it's like, those are the MVPs. And Kaido, I guess, we never know what deal they made, like something about ships and something about Kaido. Apparently, if I'm assuming that if Odin continued to dance in the streets and did not, as Kaido points out, had you come back and you had teamed up with Hirogoro and stuff, we weren't nearly prepared. You are immensely... Even Kaido seems to say, like, you're immensely strong. You're a crazy madman with no bars. It would have been very, very difficult for me to maintain control or do anything if you and Hirogoro, the Flowers, had teamed up and decided to take over. In the end of the day, we would have still been pushed out somewhat. So it's very interesting to hear Kaido, of all people, say that. Most people think he's more of a meathead, more of a brute, but he seems to have at least that type of mentality. And this, once again, shows that Kaido can be beaten. He just seems to not be able to die, but he seems to be able to be beaten back and things like that. So this is all boiling down to the fact that, is there a spy in Odin's retainers? Is it Lady Toki? Is it somebody else? Who knows? And I don't like to believe that it's any of them. And also the fact that, what was the true deal? Was Kaido, like, if Odin danced in the streets and he promised, probably, I'm not going to interfere or harm or execute any of Wano's citizens. I won't make this place a battleground. And within, in a few years' time, Kaido will get what he wants. Maybe they told him a bunch of lies and Kaido came down. Kaido basically... Because Kaido was part of that deal. It wasn't just Orochi speaking for Kaido. There was some type of deal where something about ships and Kaido. Sounds like Kaido was supposed to leave, maybe? And then, after a certain amount of time or something like that, it's like, for the good of the people of Wano, but it's never fully stated. I really want to know what this deal is. And maybe Oda is saving it, but he definitely hasn't revealed the true reason. It's like, okay, you were sparing the citizens of Wano. Had you just been not soft like Newgate and Roger, powerful pirates, but, always soft on the inside, never wanting to make sacrifices. Had you come back and been like that, none of this would have happened. So Odin kind of didn't play his cards right with that one, and of course he wanted to save people, but by the sounds of it, none of Wano's citizens were injured or killed during these years where Odin danced like a fool. The fool of a lord basically kept the citizens safe from, what the situation they're basically in right now in the present storyline, but he delayed that for a number of years. And you really have to feel bad for him in that sense, but I just want to know, what was the deal? Something about Kaido and something about ships, as we found out from the last chapter. What was supposed to be the deal? Was it going to be an X number of years, once Kaido gets what he wants, he'll leave or something? He'll take away the ships, or something about ships and Kaido. Maybe Kaido will stay on Onigashima and he won't interfere in Wano anymore. You will provide ships for all the people that want to leave Wano. Something about that, because remember, Odin's whole thing was he wanted to open Wano's borders. Potentially, he realized that Wano was maybe a lost cause right now or something. Once again, it's quite difficult. Like, maybe he brokered a deal that since he's not a navigator, as we know from, the beginning of this flashback arc, potentially he was betting on the fact that if he did all this, Kaido would provide ships for him to leave and take citizens with him, potentially. Something like that. Like, it sounds kind of sleazy when you think about Odin, but maybe it was that whole kind of, because as I brought up before, why didn't he go find Whitebeard and say, listen, I need help. Kaido took over my country, like, I need help. I'm just one man. I can't do this. I need help of my allies. Odin might be a little proud, but why wouldn't he go to the Roger Pirates or the Whitebeard Pirates or somebody like that? He has some of the most powerful allies in the verse. Why wouldn't he go? Well, I think that's the problem. He can't leave Wano. Now that he's gone, now that the ship is left, he has no way of contacting them. So, in this way, maybe that was part of the deal. Maybe Kaido was going to provide a ship for him or something like that. He was going to leave and maybe then come back. It sounds a little far-fetched, but I just can't. I'm trying to figure out why Odin wouldn't just be like, no, fuck this, I'm going to fight you. Like, Hero Girl and me, we're going to team up and damn the consequences, the honor of a samurai sort of idea, right? Because what guarantee, that's the problem, because there was no guarantee. Look at what happened. 5 years went by and nothing changed. All that happened was, as Kaido points out in this whole conversation, is, yeah, if you guys had teamed up, we would have been seriously at a disadvantage. I didn't have the numbers then. I didn't have the power then, like, not his own power, but I didn't have the prestige, the standing, everything set up yet. We were still in the building block stages, we couldn't have, you coming in, guns blazing at the time. We weren't ready for that. But now, you've given us enough time that now we're fully ready, we're fortified, we have an army, and we're ready to go. So that's the thing. Did Odin just have, we need to know what that conversation was. I know I keep harping on this, but it's the main issue with how we got here. What made Odin believe that everything would be okay if he danced in the streets? What was the deal, and how is it going to save Wano and get Kaido and Orochi out of it? Like, what guarantee did he have? Why did he believe it would be possible? Why did he think that things would change after 5 years? And that's what he says to Orochi. What about Kaido and the ships? And so there were 5 years of this went by, and Odin still seemed to think that this was still a viable thing. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, just give him a year, give him 2 years. No, we're talking 5 years where Odin just never questioned it. So, I'm a bit of a tipping point here trying to figure this out. But this, once again, could be Oda. This might be a very vital thing that's going to happen once we jump back to the present storyline for us to find out, for Momonosuke to learn, and we the readers to learn at the same time, something like that. It could be more beneficial for a character moment further down the line or something to find out the truth. Either way, they fight, and then after this, it just goes. The chapter does seem to go very, very quickly, even though there was a lot to unpack there with the whole conversation and what does it mean. But then we just get into they fight, and, the art is good. You can't deny that. And does it not look cool? Like, I understand this is the moment that everyone's ticked at. We didn't really see the beginning of the fight. We just saw them all charging, and we get the dialogue, oh, this battle lasted for hours and days and all this stuff, and we always see of the actual Odin versus Kaido. We see silhouettes, we see everybody else just charging and slashing and stuff, and then we just see Odin looking up after he gets hyper beamed by Kaido. He falters back, and he says, the only thing I want to do right now is cut off your scaly head, sort of idea, and so he grabs his two sword style, Odin style, and that's how he gets the cross shape. It's a big double panel, of Kaido actually taking the hit. Big X-shaped scar right across his damn body. And you can tell, Kaido takes that hit and Odin's just slash. And everyone's even shocked and saying, wait a minute, Odin did he just do that? Did he land a blow on the invincible Kaido? So even back then, he was considered a monster. He was considered invincible. And, I mean, I know this is just, the fodder, but once again, we have been led to believe this by people no less strong, such as Big Mom, saying, you can't kill that thing. So once again, if you have a word of someone like Big Mom, that means a lot more than just the fodder people saying it. We've always known that he was, the invincible Kaido, that he basically couldn't be harmed, he couldn't be killed, that kind of idea. And here we just see Oden it's one of his signature attacks by the looks of it. I'm not sure about the right translation for it, if it's correct by the Viz one or whatever, Paradise Totsuki or something like that. Anyways, but it's an actual hit with Enma and the Amano Habakiri. So, damn. Just damn. I mean, yes, that's all we get to see, but it is not a boss-ass move. It was. He two-sword style. It looked cool, and we actually got to see how Kaido finally got the scar. Oden was the one who gave it to him. It's the only scar on Kaido's body, and this is the moment that, once again, that damn hag, Jack's there, he's got a knife on Momo, and he's like, wait, Dad. He's like, I'm going to finish you off, Kaido, because Kaido's knocked down. Like, dragon form, boom, eyes whited out, he took the blow, and Oden's going to, all right, time to do some, who wants dragon neck meat, sort of idea. And that's when, of course, he hesitates for a moment, looks, Momo, and he, some people might complain about this being like, no, you sent Yasue, to the castle for this very reason. Your children are safe. Why would it specifically be Momo? But remember, it was only a moment of hesitation. Similar to the whole Maze Hughes thing from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. You guys very well know the hesitation, no matter... It looks bad on paper, but put yourself in those shoes. You would hesitate just long enough for the enemy to get this blow. And Kaido does not win this cleanly. Oden is winning, and he's probably about to kill him and take his head. And then what happens? Well, he turns like Momo, and that one split second was all Kaido needed. From the back, like a coward, boom, and smacks Oden in the back with his club. Oden goes down. We find out that it was actually, the old hag the whole time just to win the battle. The samurai start to lose. I think it's King stabs Shutamaru in the back, so I guess Shutamaru has taken some damage here, or Ashiradoji. And it seems to be imply that it's King that did that, so maybe there'll be a confrontation between King and Shutamaru later on. So all this happened, and... It's frustrating for us, I know, but we all knew that Oden had to lose somehow. And this actually makes me a little happier that Oden didn't just go to fight Kaido and it's off screen and we never know how he damaged him, how the fight went, was it cheap. Now we know the one thing that I've been saying ever since we found out how strong Oden is that Kaido clearly didn't win this cleanly, and here we see that's the case. Kaido couldn't go 1v1 against Oden. I'm not saying that Kaido would have necessarily lost, but Oden looked like he had the potential to actually win, if not kill Kaido in this moment. And through deception and trickery and all that fun jazz, Kaido got a cheap hit. And, man, and even Kaido, though, after being injured and stuff, he's looking at him wide-eyed, like, so... This, once again, leads into my theory to believe that if the man is actually suicidal, if the man actually does want to die, there's no way he would have actually killed Oden. Oden might still be alive. Maybe he's down underneath the Flower Capital in chains, something like that. But maybe he's on Onigashima, some Han Solo shit with Jabba the Hutt. He's frozen in carbonite. I don't know. But once again, this leads me to believe that Oden could still technically be alive. Now, I think a lot of people would be upset by this reveal if it was revealed that Oden, came back from the dead, because Oda sometimes has a problem with killing off characters, like Pell. There's the big Pell debacle thing. But in this case, we're not talking about bringing back Whitebeard and Ace, whose deaths were so iconic and such. We're talking about a character that we didn't really ever know about before, just heard that he had died from word of mouth, and that's it. And apparently all of them are supposed to be boiled alive. All the samurai. So the Red Scabbards and Odin are all supposed to be burned alive. So why is it just Odin? And how did Kinemon and everybody else, survive? So there's too much that we still don't know. I'm just holding out hope because Kaido's expression here after he knocks out Odin is kind of like, I think that's supposed to imply that he's shocked, like, how the hell did this guy scar me? Like, I fought on the Rocks crew. I fought against people like Roger and Garp and stuff. And though they were able to knock me out and stuff, no one ever scarred my body. Certainly not in dragon form, probably is what he's thinking. And he's looking down going, the hell? So Kaido, who we see is a little less of a meathead than we thought, due to this chapter and the conversations, I don't believe that he would just get rid of Odin, unless he actually was afraid of dying. But if that's the case, why is he jumping off of Sky Islands and letting himself get captured by the Marines? See, it's not adding up for me. Had that been the past, and then once the actual fear of death had loomed over, then he was all protecting himself. We never saw Kaido. Kaido never leaves the ship's, the captain's room. Kaido never leaves. Nobody ever sees Kaido, sort of idea. That type of mentality, because now he's worried that he's not invulnerable and it scared the shit out of him. That'd be a totally different character and a totally different character arc. And I could buy that, except for the fact that we know present-day Kaido, who apparently boiled alive his best chance of actually dying. So I don't, something's not adding up for me. What do you guys think? I don't want this review to go on too long. But that's basically what happens. Everybody gets captured, and they're going to be executed in 3 days in the Flower Capital. Yeah. So that's basically the end of the chapter. Chapter 970, man, it's going to be controversial. A lot of people are going to be upset. Once again, Kaido won through dirty methods, and you could say, well, he's a dirty pirate. It's true. He's not a Zoro or Mihawk to fight with honor. You know what I mean? Pirates, in general, we are following the exceptions in the Straw Hat crew and stuff. They aren't the legitimate. More pirates act like Kid and Killer than Luffy and Zoro, right? So it's not, it is an underhanded, sleazy way to win the fight, but I think a lot of people hyped up Kaido and they expected more, but I think the whole purpose of this flashback was to showcase how much of a badass. Odin's the dude who clashed with Roger and Whitebeard. He might have been just a shade underneath them, but he's the guy who actually hockeyed up and went toe-to-toe with these guys. It's entirely believable to me that he could go toe-to-toe with Kaido, and the fact that he was the one who scarred him, and we got to actually see that, as I said, people are going to be upset that we didn't see a whole drawn-out 5 chapters worth of a fight. That's the problem. I think everybody everybody loves the legends of yesterday. Everybody loves Garp, and everybody loves Sengoku and Roger and Whitebeard and stuff. And what we want to see Shanks and Mihawk. We all want to see these long drawn-out fights, but everyone wants to see a Katakuri versus Luffy, or a Luffy versus Doflamingo, or a Luffy versus Crocodile. People want to see that scale of fight for characters that aren't the main character. And I'm just once again going to reiterate here before we end off the review, is that it is so unlikely that we are going to ever see that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is so. I'm not saying I don't want it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't get to see it. I'm saying that expecting to and then being disappointed and insulting a chapter or calling it mid or being One Piece is bad, One Piece is trash, and complaining about that stuff is, at this point, 970 chapters, and how many long drawn-out fights have you seen that didn't involve the Straw Hats? Just pointing it out there, just putting it out there. It's unlikely to happen. Maybe the big battle, maybe the big war like Marineford that's going to come. Again, we're going to get another super scale battle with admirals and everything, and Yonko and everybody flying all over the place. Sure, we'll see that again, I'm sure, but outside of that big epic battle that still involves the Straw Hat crew, let's just wait for an OVA. Let's wait for a movie, the past arc, the movie or something like that that's approved by Oda or something. So yeah, I'm just saying that don't keep reading flashbacks arcs. Don't keep reading One Piece and be disappointed by it if you're going to continuously expect what's just not a good expectation. That's all I'm saying. Like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoyed it. And I don't mean to sound condescending when I say that. It's just that is the argument I've been hearing for weeks and weeks and weeks ever since the Odin flashback started. And that's everyone's major complaint, is that we only see clashes, we don't see fights. So I don't mean to sound condescending when I say it. But if I do, and you guys don't like my attitude, then hit the dislike button. Tell me I'm a prick in the comment section down below. And I mean, that is what it is. Join my Discord if you feel like it, however, and don't forget to hit the bell notification up in the corner if you guys want to know every single time I drop a video. You'll also be notified in the Discord if you join, which is in the description box down below. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for One Piece, Chapter 970. We'll see you back here next time.